Welcome to Hochoka Podcast.
To us, health is about so much more than simply not being sick. It's about getting a balance between physical, mental, emotional, cultural, and spiritual health, says one Indigenous physician and researcher. Let's learn how St. Joseph Indian School's Health Center is taking those words to heart. Hello, Mataki AP, and welcome to Hochoka, here at the center of St. Joseph's Indian School's campus. I'm Scott Wooster, your Hochoka host. Today, we're joined once again by Dr. Melanie Nadu. We talked with her earlier this season about developing an Indigenous evaluation framework for our programs. In our Circle of Care model, the Health Center is one of the facets of our programming. Dr. Mel recently visited there and spoke with Health Center Director Jenna Heeb. We'll learn what they talked about today. Dr. Mel, welcome back.
Thank you.
And Jenna, welcome to Hochoka.
Thank you for having me.
I'm just going to let you talk about your impressions of what you saw as maybe three of the things that really impressed you in your coming here.
Yes. Well, first of all, it's just been a wonderful visit. There's a lot of great work that's happening here. Being here, everyone has been so inviting, and hearing the work that's going on, I feel like there's definitely opportunities to be more inclusive of community in the work that's being done. But there are great things that are happening here at St. Joseph's.
And what specifically about the health center or what we're doing in the healthcare piece struck you?
Well, I think one thing that I really appreciate is the wraparound care model that is occurring. These models are really, they stand out in approach. And so when a student has a healthcare team, and there's other models like this that people look to because it's when the patient has wraparound care and has a team that's addressing their care holistically, they're more likely to be well and living a healthy lifestyle, living life in a good way, they say. So from an Indigenous perspective, so that model really aligns nicely with the cultural views and the worldview of Native people. So that was one thing that I was really impressed with, is seeing that that's occurring and how that's occurring, and sharing examples of how that's happening across the center. Visiting the center, like there's, just to share an example for an opportunity, the children, if someone's sick, the dorm parents are gone during the day. And so then if they get sick and they, need to rest, there's very nice rooms that are available for the student to stay at the health center during the day. And so just visiting that space, they can game, there's different activities that they can do, but I really seen an opportunity just to make that environment visually appealing. So bringing in art. Our artists are really, in my opinion, they're knowledge keepers. And so having Indigenous artists come in and create a space that's culturally grounded, it does so much for it'll do so much for the children. It's been shown that having environments where people are trying to heal, having that environment where it's visually appealing and culturally relevant actually helps assist with the healing process. And so I think that's a really great opportunity. And you can see across St. Joseph's that there's art in a lot of places. And so it's present, but I think bringing it into the health center in a more intentional way, where the children are when they're there, would be really meaningful and help ground the work.
Yeah. And I'm going to take a step back too. And Jenna, I said in the header that I wasn't going to steal your thunder and let
Go
you
ahead.
say what we're doing in the health center. I'm going to let you say that. What goes on over there? It's remarkable. It's a beehive over at the health center. Just because a lot of our viewers may
Sure.
not know exactly what we do there. But what does that look
Sure.
like?
So within the health center, we have a partner relationship with Sanford Chamberlain in town here for provider services. But we also employ full-time nursing staff. And so for whatever ailment it may be that the student comes over for, the nurses are able to assess and hopefully get a plan of treatment started right away. And help that healing process go much more quickly, get the students feeling well, and ultimately back to school, activities, participation in life. But we know some basic assumptions that kids are going to get sick. And so when they're with us, like you said, the house parents are off during the daytime. So the students stay with us in the health center. There's individual student staterooms with nice big windows with a river view, but there is a bed and a TV, and there's activities to do in the closet, games or Native American coloring books or Legos, those types of things. But something that we've talked about was incorporating maybe some more healing paint colors and patterns and artwork on the walls, the bedspreads, potentially getting some sound machines that might have some healing rainwaters or things like that we could incorporate more so. But as far as when the students are with us during the day, they are cared for by myself and by the nurses, just as we would care for our own children. And also that's in partnership with the students and their families. There's a constant communication between myself, the nurses, and the students' parent and or guardian, so that they know exactly what's going on in that student's plan of care. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it's that student care team is what we call it. As far as, it's not just us caring for the student. It's their parent, guardian, the house parents, the classroom teacher, the counselor. So we've got a constant communication and collaboration with what we call that holistic student care team as well.
Yeah, and that's a brief, thumbnail sketch of it, brief. and it still doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of what goes on in that health center every single day. One of the biggest things that I've seen is that you partner with so many different places. You have transportation that goes. You want to talk about that a little bit? It's not what I'm trying to say is it's just not just sick kids that come and you keep them there until they're well, but appointments all morning and.
So student wellness is the goal. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, every student sees a provider for an annual well child appointment, as well as we have partnership relationships locally in town here with dental providers, eye care providers. So every student has an annual dental appointment, annual eye care appointment, as well as any work that may come from that, any further dental work that may need to be done, or if there was something from the provider clinic that the student needed, specialty care services. And we are rural Chamberlain, South Dakota. Mm-hmm. A lot of those specialties aren't available to us here immediately in town. So we do provide all of the transportation and follow-up care to all of those appointments and anything that would come from those specialty appointments, often to Sioux Falls or Rapid City, sometimes Pierre or Mitchell. We even have gone out of state for some specialty care services as well, and that could be anything from dental to eye to skin to urology, gastroenterology, orthopedics. Mm-hmm. We are kids. We do have injuries and wipeouts when we're riding scooters and playing sports. So we're focused on making sure that the students are well in more ways than one, so that we can get them back to life, mm-hmm. school, activities, and participation well in life. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with the term health equity?
Yes.
Are you familiar with it?
Yes.
It's a buzzword. I wasn't until until this morning, and so that's not surprising that I'm the last one to hear the buzzword. Can you explain health equity? I'll let you each take a turn at just defining it for our audience.
Sure. So when I think about health equity, you can see like there's different images out there, and I'm like a visual person, so being able just to see this image, I think really drives it home. And so you can see that like some people have more access to care, more access to services, maybe live in a healthier environment. Other people, they don't have that access. And so, this individual here might have everything that they need to, see over the wall, but this person can't. But really at the end of the day, we want to remove the wall, so that things are accessible to everybody, and everybody has a equitable chance and equitable access, equitable opportunities to live, work, play, and thrive.
Yeah. And you're working with marginalized populations in a lot of cases, and so are we. And so there's your definition for it. What are we doing? What are we able to do, and how are we able to do it here to maybe to take down that wall and help out with our marginalized population that we work with here?
So I see health equity as meeting the individual where they are, who they are, where they come from, what's available to them. Thankfully, here at St. Joe's, with the help of our very generous donors, we're able to meet the student where he or she is. We're able to start with who they are when they come in, what they need. It may be a lot, it may be a little, but we're able, if they do need a lot, we're able to do a lot to get them back to that level of health wellness and hopefully maintaining from there. But because of our donors, we're able to provide all of those services here on campus, throughout the community, as well as transport out of town to all of those appointments and coordinate that care with the student, their guardian, and that provider, really with no questions asked.
Yeah. What we do here is we try to, you use the word wraparound and you talk about holistic, but we're trying to bring our services together here so it's not just a health center. I know medical care is very specific. You're charged with making sure that you make sick kids well, or trying to make them as well as possible, but you can't do that in a vacuum. So we want to talk about the holistic approach, and I think this fits well with you. We want to take not the linear approach to it. We want to take that holistic approach. Can you each talk to that a little bit, how we want, what we're trying to do with that here at St. Joe's, and what you would suggest we might be able to do?
Well, I think we had fun talking about that because there's a lot of ways that you're already demonstrating those relationships and partnerships, and the way that the team works as they meet regularly, talk regularly, interact regularly. And so it's definitely there. When talking about evaluation and approach to the work, it's really easy to get lost in the details. And I think that there's just an opportunity to step back and say, okay, what are we really trying to do here? What are we trying to capture? And what we capture, who's it for? And what's our intention? And I think that the way that work's done is going to look a little differently depending on who you're doing it for, and being very intentional about that. So one of the things that we had talked about was really looking at the mission of St. Joseph's, and which really, you look at it, it's a holistic mission. And so just trying to stay grounded in that mission, in the work that's being done, and thinking about the model of care, the wraparound care, all of the elements that are there, and saying, okay, how is that present here? And is there an opportunity for us to try something new? Is there an opportunity? And one of the individuals that I was visiting with that day really said, it's so interesting that you say that, because this particular entity over here is doing a really great job in this particular reason, this particular area. And then looking at our area, it's like maybe this person can inform some of the work over here because they're really thriving. So looking at these successful activities that are happening, or where the children are really thriving, trying to tap into that and say, okay, how can we spread that across the school, and really infuse that in this different areas of wraparound care. So I think just if you look at the standard Western models, it's tough. It's really tough to linear thinking is really tough, and a lot of people struggle with it, trying to populate these models. But at the end of the day, you have to kind of step back and say, is this really what we're trying to measure? And who are we trying to measure this for? And what are we going to do with this information? Because what you want to focus on the story that you want to tell. Mm-hmm. And the story is going to include holistic elements.
Right.
That you're not going to get if you stick inside of a linear model.
So in talking about the mission holistically, mind, body, heart, and spirit, within the health center, there are some things that I think we're on track for those opportunities. We do, yes, focus on the medical wellness, but we talk about also going to the dentist, the eye doctor, making sure we have our annual well child. But other things that we incorporate within the health center is adequate nutrition, making sure we're being mindful of the nutrition. We also focus, we have a health and wellness coach that we focus on healthy sleep patterns and physical activity and adequate nutrition. And we work very closely with counseling and with our director of mission integration as far as spiritual health or mental health. But something that we came across as we were touring through the health center is we were just naturally touring and discussing as we went along. It felt like a very natural visit. Mm-hmm. But as we made our way through the building and through the med room and the exam rooms and to the student staterooms and ultimately to the kitchen or kitchenette kind of area, I was opening cupboards and refrigerators and showing you things. And we do incorporate a lot of hot tea with honey as well. And you had given some suggestions for some maybe different opportunities for tea that we could be, like you mentioned, sage and cedar tea. Do you have anything to add with that?
Yeah, there's other teas and traditional medicines that are traditional to this area, and I'll share that. I'll be sure to share that out. But one of the ingredients in that is peppermint. So peppermint's really a good tea for like colds and COVID and lung health. And so just coming from a holistic perspective, unfortunately, your traditional medical model is really designed to treat illness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so we want to do better than that. We want to prevent illness. And so and you're doing some of that, and especially like with the nutrition, even when we talk about food is medicine. Mm-hmm. You'll see a lot of research in that area around food as medicine. And there's a lot of indigenous chefs that are coming out with pre-colonial diets, intake, maybe diet's not the right word, but intake that is focused really on keeping you well. Mm-hmm. And starting to look at food in a different way instead of, I'm hungry, I need to eat, so I'm not hungry anymore, and saying, oh, well, if I eat this is going to help improve X, Y, Z, and really starting to build that relationship with food, with teas, mm-hmm. with herbal medicine, and understanding even that component of it would be so very useful. for the children in understanding food as medicine and understanding if I drink this tea, what does that ultimately going to impact in my body? And that it's just not just a tea, that this is actually a medicine that's going to help you feel better all the way around. And there's opportunities for tea to be used to help you sleep, so, and actually all the realms. So there's lots of opportunity there. And like I said, you can see that the health center is, mindful, and they do public health. You can see it present, but there's also a lot of fun opportunities. And I think that that's always going to be the case, because as time moves forward, things change, culture changes, people change, the stakeholders change. And so just always being in that very responsive space to say, okay, who are we serving? What does this look like for them? What's going to be most meaningful for them? And just being responsive in your approach, I think, is always going to drive the work forward. Yeah. And you guys are obviously in that space. I felt very welcome, very heard, very safe to share my opinion. And so everybody was so receptive and really just engaged.
Yeah.
Which I found really refreshing and nice to come into a space like that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
What I'm struck by with both of you when you talk about the health center is that when you came in and you guys had just met that day and you're walking around and you've used words like it was relaxed, we were just having a visit. And that I think speaks to that holistic approach where you're coming in not with red tape and bureaucracy and saying, here's the guidelines you guys need to follow and do something differently. You're coming in and saying, you're having a conversation, you're understanding Jenna as a person, you're looking at all the people there as humans, you're trying to get their stories, you're treating them
with respect.
With respect, and
Yep.
exactly as we should be doing. And what I like that comes out of that is I like your enthusiasm and your approach, because I think that will kindle some of those things and get some things going. But I also think that it speaks well of what we do for the kids. Jenna, that running a health center anywhere in these times, sickness and a health system that's got its problems, it's got to be a tricky thing for you to do. You're doing a great job of it, making kids feel welcome, and we're always looking to improve what we do and work collectively here on campus. And Dr. Mel, your help that you've given and the things that we'll try to do and continue to communicate are wonderful. So we thank both of you for what you do, and we thank both of you for being here on Hochoka today as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Absolutely.
much.
Yeah. And we thank our audience for joining us today with Dr. Mel and with Jenna for being with us here at the center of St. Joseph's Indian Schools campus, where we talk about issues that are central to Native American education today. Until next time on Hochoka, stay centered.